Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really digging into something that hits home for, well, pretty much anyone trying to make a change. Health, work, learning something new. We're looking at that constant battle between wanting the quick fix, the overnight miracle, and what it really takes. Persistence. Process.
Yeah, and the materials we look at really throw cold water on that whole quick fix idea.
They really do. We're often sold this idea of a simple solution for things that honestly took years to develop, and the consensus seems to be, well, that's just not possible. So we're going to explore the difference between those temporary things, like fad diets, and what genuine long-term health looks like, which is, it's a whole lifestyle shift.
Okay, let's unpack this. The core argument seems to be there's no such thing as a temporary solution for a lifelong situation.
That line really cuts through, doesn't it? Especially for the whole diet industry.
Absolutely.
It forces you to look at, temporary results versus actual deep change. You can go hard at the gym, slash your carbs for, say, 6 weeks, and yeah, the scale will probably move. Sure, you see something.
Right. But the second you stop that intense, focused effort, poof, the results just fade away. Because they were tied only to that specific temporary work.
Which means that temporary success wasn't really success at all, not in the long run. And this is where we kind of need to flip the script on the goal itself, right? There's a really counterintuitive point here.
There is. So many people start out thinking the big fight is against, I don't know, cravings or just getting off the couch. But the material suggests that losing the initial weight, that first physical response to cleaning things up, that's actually the easy part.
Wait, the easy part, that sounds completely backward to what most people experience. If losing weight is easy, what makes keeping it off, the maintenance, so incredibly hard? What are those traps?
Well, think about it. That initial phase, it's very physiological. Your body reacts pretty quickly when you drastically change what you eat and how much you move. You see results, they're obvious, and that feels great. Super motivating.
Okay, yeah. That initial drop is encouraging.
Really?
Yeah.
Exactly. But maintenance, that's almost purely psychological. It demands constant behavioral choices day after day, self-discipline. Resisting that pullback to old habits once the initial excitement wears off or the first goal is met. That psychological effort, it basically never stops. Whereas the big physical changes, they tend to slow down over time. And that's the trap. Your brain has to keep working hard even when the scale isn't moving much.
Right. So you see people hit their goal weight, they celebrate like they've finished the race. And then it dawns on them that the finish line was actually just the starting block for a completely different lifelong race.
Precisely. And that's why we, and you listening, really have to be wary of what are essentially, well, foolish promises. Any program guaranteeing huge permanent changes with basically zero ongoing effort, that's tapping right back into that short-term myth.
It sounds too good to be true because it is.
It is. And it's crucial to understand that real commitment, sticking with it, persistence, and genuinely wanting to change how you live. Those are the things you absolutely need. No shortcuts.
Okay, so if we ditch the whole diet idea with its restrictions and end dates, what does this lifestyle approach actually look like? How do we define it properly?
It's about shifting from thinking about rules you have to follow to building habits that become second nature. Sustainable choices, things you can actually see yourself doing pretty much forever.
That makes sense. Prioritizing habits that stick rather than just white-knuckling it through another trend.
Right. It's about the long game, not the quick sprint.
But I think when people hear healthy lifestyle, their minds still jump straight to kale salads and marathon running.
That's a really common and limiting view.
Yeah.
And if we're connecting this to the bigger picture, we need a much broader definition. Lifestyle isn't just food and exercise, not by a long shot.
Okay.
It's really the whole pattern of how someone lives. Their daily routines, their choices, their habits, across everything. We actually found a pretty comprehensive list, almost like a checklist, of what makes up a truly healthy lifestyle. It really highlights that health isn't just one thing. It's an entire ecosystem.
An ecosystem. I like that. Okay, let's break that down. What are the parts? We know the obvious ones. Diet and nutrition.
Yep.
And physical activity. Got it. What else is in this ecosystem?
Okay, then you get into things that are vital for just functioning well day to day. Sleep, stress management, and mental health.
Right, the recovery and resilience stuff. Often the first things to go when life gets busy.
Exactly. But you can't sustain the physical effort without them. They're non-negotiable.
Makes sense. If I'm exhausted and stressed out, I'm definitely not making good choices about food or dragging myself to the gym. Okay, but the list keeps going, right?
Yeah.
Into sort of life logistics.
It does. It brings in social connections, your relationships, and also your work-life balance, how you manage your time and energy between those demands.
Okay, still tracking.
But here's where it gets maybe a bit surprising for some. The list also includes hobbies and interests, financial habits, and even things like basic hygiene and self-care.
Wait, hang on. Financial habits, how does managing my bank account connect to my physical health? That feels like a totally different box.
Doesn't it? But think about the link. Stress and time. If your finances are a mess, chances are you're dealing with chronic stress.
Okay, yeah, money stress is real.
And chronic stress messes with your cortisol levels, your sleep, your mood, which then directly impacts your food choices, your motivation, your energy to exercise. It's all connected. If you're constantly worried about money or scrambling to make ends meet, it's incredibly hard to maintain the mental space and energy needed for a healthy lifestyle.
Wow. Okay, so the real goal isn't just, say, fitting into smaller jeans. It's building a whole life structure that reduces stress and actually aligns with what you value deep down.
That's it, exactly.
If you're constantly battling financial anxiety or feeling like you have no time, your body keeps the score no matter how much spinach you eat.
Precisely. So these 10 areas, they all feed into each other, impacting your overall health, your well-being, your quality of life. It's about crafting a life framework, not just, following a temporary diet plan.
This really leads us into what felt like the most profound insight from all of this, or the real secret behind transformation.
Right. Because when people first decide to make a change, start exercising, eat better, the immediate driver is usually wanting to change how they look.
Yeah.
Right, the physical stuff.
Sure, that's the most visible part.
But the material we reviewed kept emphasizing that physical change, it's actually secondary. It's important, obviously, but it's not the real deal.
Hold on. If I'm lifting weights and building muscle, that feels pretty real and physical. How can that be secondary to the mental part?
Because the physical change is often a result, maybe even a temporary one if you stop. The mental shift, though, that's the underlying cause of sustainable change. Think about it. You can force yourself to gain muscle or lose weight while still hating every minute, feeling deprived, and eventually you'll likely quit. But the moment you truly commit inside your head from day one, deciding, I'm doing this, training consistently, eating well, prioritizing sleep, the transformation is already happening, and it's overwhelmingly mental. It takes mental commitment to build consistency, discipline, resilience. Those are the qualities that keep you going when the scale stalls or life gets tough or motivation dips.
Okay.
That internal shift, becoming someone who doesn't just seek comfort, but can embrace challenge and effort that fundamentally changes everything, your entire approach to life.
That really is the aha moment, isn't it? You're not just fixing your body, you're actually forging a new identity. You're becoming a person who values persistence, who shows up, maybe a person you didn't even know you could be.
Exactly. And once that mental identity takes root, it doesn't just apply to the gym or your plate. It spills over into all those areas we listed: your finances, how you manage stress, your relationships, your work. That mental transformation is the engine that drives the whole lifestyle and makes it stick.
So consistency isn't just about doing the reps. It's about consistently being the person who does the reps. You're not fighting laziness. You're actually fighting your old self-image.
Well put.
You have to step into that identity of the persistent, disciplined person first, and then the physical results become almost a side effect, a sustainable side effect.
Wow. Okay, this has been incredibly clarifying, especially for anyone stuck in that cycle of starting and stopping. The big takeaway seems to be shifting from seeing health as a project with an end date to embracing it as just the way you live, a structure that supports everything from sleep to money management. And the real challenge isn't the initial weight loss, but building that mental strength, that grit to stay the course. Yeah, if you boil it all down, creating that balanced, healthy lifestyle means making choices that genuinely line up with what you hold important, your core values. If your daily actions are constantly fighting against what you truly believe matters, well, those actions won't last.
Makes perfect sense.
So as you, the listener, think about making changes, maybe here's a final thought to chew on. Since real transformation starts in the mind and demands persistence, have you actually sat down and figured out what your core personal values are? Things like maybe having more energy or being present for your family or long-term vitality. What is it that these new habits are ultimately meant to serve? Maybe start there, define what truly matters most, because that's the bedrock you need to build lasting change upon.